Captain Pedro Álvares Cabral, appointed by divine grace and royal favor to lead the expedition to the Indies, now before His Majesty, King Manuel.
The bells of Lisbon ring across the Tagus. 13 Portuguese ships prepare to depart. King Manuel I stands on the royal dock, blessing a fleet that carries 1,200 men, a fleet 6 times larger than the previous one. At its head stands Pedro Álvares Cabral, a nobleman with little sailing experience, but unshakable royal favor. Nobody in the crowd realizes what they're witnessing, not the king, not the nobles, not even Cabral himself. They're watching the birth of the world's largest tropical empire. Within 6 weeks, Portuguese ships will accidentally collide with the continent. Pedro Álvares Cabral represents everything that's both brilliant and absurd about Portuguese exploration. Born around 1467 in the mountain town of Belmonte, he comes from minor nobility, generations of service to the crown, but as chroniclers try to record his naval experience, they find almost nothing. King Manuel has chosen him not for seamanship, but for diplomacy. The Indian route is established. What Portugal needs now is someone who can negotiate with Oriental rulers, someone who represents royal authority rather than rough maritime skills. It's a decision that perfectly captures Portuguese imperial strategy. Send the nobleman to command, surround him with expert sailors to run the ships.
In Pedro Álvares de Gouveia, nobleman of our household, we place our complete confidence. God speed him to the riches of the east. May the winds carry his sails, and may divine grace guide his course.
The fleet itself represents the pinnacle of Portuguese naval technology. Among its captains sails Bartolomeu Dias, the man who first rounded the Cape of Good Hope, now commanding one of Cabral's vessels. But Cabral, despite his lack of sea time, holds supreme command. Following da Gama's proven route, the fleet sailed south past the Canary Islands, reaching Cape Verde by March 22nd. Here, disaster strikes immediately. A ship commanded by Vasco da Gama, carrying 150 men, simply vanishes. No storm, no distress signals. One day it's there, the next morning it's gone. Swallowed by the Atlantic without a trace. 12 ships remained. The fleet crosses the equator on April 9th, then executes the bold maneuver that defines Portuguese navigation, the Volta do Mar, the turn of the sea. Instead of hugging the African coast like timid coastal sailors, Cabral swings his ships in a vast westward arc, trusting in wind patterns mapped by a decade of Portuguese exploration.
Trust in God and the compass. The ocean may look empty, but it carries us on paths known to Portuguese science.
For weeks, they sailed through empty ocean, seeing nothing but water and sky. The crews grow restless. Fresh water runs low. Some officer whispered that their inexperienced commander has lost his way, but Cabral holds course, following the sailing instruction perfected by his predecessors. April 21st. A sailor in the crow's nest of the lead ship spots something that shouldn't exist, seaweed, floating on the surface. In the 16th century, seaweed means only one thing: land is near. For weeks, they sailed through empty ocean, seeing nothing but water and sky. But according to every map, every chart, every piece of accumulated Portuguese knowledge, there should be nothing but ocean for another 1,000 miles. The next day, April 22nd, Easter Wednesday, Portuguese eyes witness something unprecedented. On the horizon rises a great mountain, lush and green. Unlike anything in their African experience, Cabral names it Monte Pascual, Easter Mount, never imagining he's glimpsing a continent larger than all of Europe.
By grace or by fate, the winds have carried us to a new world. I know not its name, nor its purpose, but it is beautiful beyond words. We thank God, for He has led us to what we were meant to see.
Three days later, April 26th, Easter Sunday, Cabral orders this historic landing. The Portuguese boats row through coral reefs towards a beach lined with curious observers. The men who watch them are people of the Americas. The Tupiniquim, the side neighbors in their own language. They've lived along this coast for centuries. When the Portuguese explorers first arrived in Brazil in April 1500, they found something astonishing: a wide coastline rich in resources, teeming with thousands of indigenous people, living in what seemed like a paradise of natural abundance. In 1500, their population was estimated at 1 million people, nearly equal to the population of Portugal at that time. They've lived in well-organized villages and developed complex social systems that govern everything from trade to warfare to spiritual life. The first meetings are peaceful, almost festive. The Tupiniquim offer food, fresh water, shelter. In return, the Portuguese present mirrors, belts, red caps, trade goods that fascinate their hosts. Neither group understands the magnitude of what's happening. While Cabral manages diplomacy, his men encounter a civilization that challenges every European assumption about the New World. The Tupiniquim aren't nomadic hunter-gatherers, they're farmers who have transformed their environment through generations of careful management. They practice slash-and-burn agriculture, clearing the forest using fire, rotating fields to maintain soil fertility, and intercropping in polycultural systems, known as coivara in Portuguese accounts. They grow cassava, maize, sweet potatoes, beans, yams, peanuts, and fruits like bananas and guava. Farming was communal, involving entire villages, with women often handling planting and harvesting, while men cleared land. Villages were semi-permanent, relocated every 5 to 10 years as soil depleted. Their social structure fascinates the Portuguese chroniclers. The different Tupi people believe they descended from a mythological character named Tupi. Because of this, many Tupi tribes had names that begin with Tupi: the Tupinamba, the Tupiniquim, the Tupiguaye, the Tupinimo. Leadership combines democratic consultations with respect for age and wisdom. Women held significant authority in domestic and agricultural matters. The 2-week Portuguese stay becomes an intensive cultural exchange that neither group fully understands. When the Portuguese explorer arrived in the 16th century, the Tupi were the first indigenous group to have contact with them. Soon, a process of mixing between Portuguese settlers and indigenous women started. The Portuguese marvel at the Tupiniquim technology, hammocks that provide better sleep than European beds, cassava processing techniques that produce nutritious flour, fishing methods that yield abundant catches. The Tupiniquim, in turn, are fascinated by European metalworks, firearms, and sailing ships. But underlying the friendship runs a current of mutual incomprehension. The Portuguese see a land ripe for conversion and exploitation. The Tupiniquim see strange visitors who will surely depart with the next tide. Neither group recognizes they're witnessing the first moments of a transformation that will reshape both civilizations. On May 1st, Cabral orders a massive wooden cross erected on the beach, 7 meters tall. It dominates the shoreline in honor of Jesus Christ. Cabral names the territory Ilha de Vera Cruz, Island of the True Cross, believing he's found a larger island rather than a continent. As the new land was within the Portuguese sphere according to the 1494 Treaty of Tordesillas, Cabral claimed it for the Portuguese crown. The strategic implications are immediate. The Treaty of Tordesillas, signed 60s earlier between Spain and Portugal, has divided the unknown world along a meridian, 370 leagues west of Cape Verde. Nobody knew in 1494 that this line would slice through a continent that Europeans hadn't yet discovered. By pure geographical accident, Portugal has stumbled into legal ownership of what will become Brazil. After 10 days of exploration and diplomacy, Cabral faces the decision that will define Brazilian history. His mission is clear: reach India, establish trade, and return with spices. But he's discovered something potentially more valuable than all the pepper in Calicut. On May 2nd, he dispatches a supply ship back to Lisbon carrying news of the discovery and samples of the new land's products. The message to King Manuel is brief but world-changing. Portugal has found a new place, rich in resources, inhabited by people who might be converted to Christianity.
Your Highness, by God's grace we have discovered lands so vast and rich that they may prove more valuable than all the spices of the Orient. I commend them to your royal wisdom.
Then comes the decision that determines everything that follows. Instead of staying to explore and colonize, Cabral leaves only 2 men behind, both degradados, exiled criminals. They volunteered to remain. These 2 men, whose names history barely records, become the first European residents of Brazil. They will learn Tupiniquim languages, take indigenous wives, father the first generation of mixed-race Brazilians. They will serve as translators, guides, cultural bridges in the decades to come. As the Portuguese sails disappear over the horizon, the Tupiniquim return to their villages. Life continues as it has for centuries. On the beach, a massive wooden cross stands against the sky, a promise the Portuguese will return. Cabral sails east towards India, towards the spice markets, towards his primary mission. Behind him, he leaves the foundation of an empire, 2 Portuguese men, 1 wooden cross, and a continent waiting to be discovered. But first, Cabral must survive the journey to India, and the Cape of Good Hope has a reputation for claiming Portuguese ships. Bartolomeu Dias, the man who first rounded the Cape, sails in Cabral's fleet. He knows better than anyone the dangers that wait ahead. Will Cabral reach India, or will the ocean claim him? Thanks for watching this series. I really appreciate you spending your time here. If you liked it, don't forget to press the like button, subscribe, and perhaps share it with somebody who might enjoy it as well. See you in the next one.